What's up, everybody? Thank you so much for listening to Your Ex-Drinking Buddy. My name is Brennan Tassif. I'll be your host. Subscribe, rate, and review wherever you get your podcast. Check out the merch store at brennantcomedy.com/merch-store. And make sure you subscribe on YouTube as well. We'll put the shorts up there, the full video, the whole thing. Thank you so much for listening. I love it. I hope you love it. Subscribe on Patreon, too. We do bonus episodes. I do Tales from the Restaurant, where I talk about celebrities I've waited on and whether they're assholes or not, which is super fun. Also, we do a pre-show banter for my other show, Cheers from the Press Box with Joe Dorville. A lot of behind-the-scenes stuff going on over there, too. Make sure you just subscribe everywhere, just all over the place. I greatly appreciate it. And if you're not leaving the mean comments, thank you for that. Maybe leave a couple nice ones.
Grabbing your beer and grabbing my coat. We about to sit for an hour, bullshit and tell jokes. And please don't mix it up, cause he done sobered up. Brandon T Comedy on your social media feeds. And Brandon Tassif is your ex-drinking buddy. Brandon Tassif is your ex-drinking buddy. Brandon Tassif is your ex-drinking buddy. Brandon Tassif is your ex-drinking buddy.
I never know who's doing what as far as like, sometimes I'll be like, oh yeah, this cool comic I know or this friend of mine, and people are like, oh, I fucking hate that person. And I'm always like, oh, cool, man.
Yeah, unless they like actually do something like truly hateable, then I get it. But you know, if it's someone like you don't really, what is that? Piss? What the fuck is that?
No, it's B12, baby.
B12?
Yeah, I got one of those little shooters.
I saw it right next to your bed. I go, there's no way you're just pissing in a. I'm like, when I walked in, I saw that. I'm like, why would you touch that if you're gonna fucking? I wasn't judging you too hard when I walked in. I'm like, piss in a bottle, but I would check the hydration.
What if I was 6 years sober and I was still pissed in bottles?
That's what I'm saying. I'm like, you doing all right? Are you bringing me on here to say you've been fucking getting high again, getting shit faced, you know? I never. Did you piss in bottles a lot when you were a kid?
Fuck yeah.
I almost never did.
Really?
Almost never.
I'm keeping all that in, but I had to clap just
almost
to make
never.
Sure.
I thought it was so gross, like when you would just see a bottle of, like I have in like emergency situations. Like I think I pissed in one in a car one time, but I don't think I've ever like been in my bedroom. I would rather just. I've pissed out of windows. I've fucking, like...
This has become the last 3 episodes we've talked about peeing in, like, weird places.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't give a fuck. I mean, because I look at it, right? Like, especially, there's not a lot of bathrooms in the city. Like, plumbing has only been around for, like, 100 years, right? It's true. Plumbing's only been around, like, 100 years. Humans have been around like fucking, I don't even know.
Long
like
time.
Yeah, like I think 100 million or a crazy number like that.
4,000 years according to the Bible.
Yeah, it's been longer than that. But it's, you know, I'm not gonna get into that. But most pisses and most shits and most everything have been fucking taken outside and shit. You know, so I'm not saying you should be able to piss in like in a playground or something, but. You know, you should be able to kind of piss in between cars and shit. And,
yeah, I agree with that. When there was
male or female.
When there was that hurricane that happened, I remember I was at the stand hanging with a buddy of mine. This was when I first moved here. The hurricane, like Isla, I think is what it was, and it was like torrentially downpouring, and all the subways were like off.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I don't know how to get home. So I walked from the stand to 52nd where I was living at the time. And as I left the stand, I was like, I should probably pee. Like, I kind of have to pee. By the time I got to like 30th, I was like, I'm going to pee my pants. And I was so scared about the whole, like, if you get caught with your dick out, you're a sex offender.
That's the best weather to piss in, a hurricane.
I peed my pants as I was walking because I was like, oh, it's just like it's raining a lot. Like, it'll just absorb it.
Probably
so
not.
I just walked and peed. And
Fuck
it
that.
didn't. I hung them up. I hung my jeans up in the bathroom, and the next day my ex
I
walked
just
in
take
and
it
was
out.
like-
I piss. Yeah, I piss out. I'm a frequent outdoor pisser. Almost daily. I'm an outdoor pisser. I'm like, don't get me wrong. I'm good at like finding bathrooms if I have to, but it's like, I mean, because it's like, dude, you're outside all week. I'm fucking. You know, I leave the house early. I like getting the fuck out of my house super early.
Well, you work early too. For someone who does comedy at night, you work pretty early.
Well, yeah. I like getting up. I like being like on the streets early. You know what I mean? So it's like I'm already like before that drinking coffee, fucking doing shit or whatever. Like I'm like I don't want to come home and you know. So you just piss outside, you know. But I'm not pissing in front of kids or whatever. You know, it's like, but you got to do it. You know.
All right, I'm gonna do the intro. That's a hot start, man. talking peeing.
I'm just, you gotta do what I gotta do.
What's up,
It's
everybody?
a human need, dude. It's a human need, dude. It's a human need.
This is going to be such a fun episode.
Yeah.
What's up, everybody? Welcome into another edition of Brennan Tassif is your ex-drinking buddy. I'm your host, Brennan Tassif. If you're new to the program, quick rundown of the show. I used to be everyone's favorite drinking buddy. It's my favorite thing to do, hang out with friends, get drunk, do drugs, get in all sorts of trouble, and then reminisce about those crazy stories. I am sober now, but that is still one of my favorite things to do, hang out with someone and reminisce about crazy stories. Most weeks I'll be joined by a guest. This week is no exception. All the way from Boston, Massachusetts, now in New York City, Ryan O'Toole.
Yeah, I was going to say, all the way from about, I don't know, a
12
few blocks away, something like that. I don't want my information out there, but pretty close, you know?
Yeah.
Pretty close.
Plug everything up front before
Honored
we
to
get too
be
far.
here. Ryan O'Toole Podcast. Follow me on Instagram. I take it it'll be in the bio.
Yeah,
whatever, right?
it's Ryan O'Toole. It'll
Put
be
my
in the show
Instagram
notes.
on there. Put my Venmo on there. Put fucking whatever the fuck on there.
You're on the
know?
bottom if you're looking at the levels.
Yeah. Well, I'm just saying, is that a sobriety coin over there?
Oh, yeah. I just
Can
got
I
my
look
6
at?
years.
Can I
Yeah.
look at it? Am I allowed to touch it, or is this
Yeah,
gonna
of
put a
course.
curse on me?
No. 6 years. Just got it last month.
Congratulations.
Thanks, dude.
To thine own, self be true, unity service recovery. God grant. Were you into the religion shit before AA, or was it?
Yeah, I actually, all the tattoos I have on my body are scripture, and all of them were I got before I got sober.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was one of those things where it was interesting because I grew up semi-religious. Like, my grandmother's Orthodox, so I was really she's Serbian Orthodox, so she was, like, really into religion. And then growing up, we went to church, like, every Sunday. Like, I was kind of into it. And then, like, I was a pretty religious guy. And then I lost football when I got my 8th concussion. They said I couldn't play anymore. And then I started drinking.
Too bad you weren't in the NFL.
Yeah, right. But it was one of those things where, as corny as it sounds and as dumb as it sounds, I was like, why would God take the one thing that I've become
Yeah, no,
good
I don't
at
think
away
that's
from
dumb.
me?
I don't think it's dumb at all. You
So
know.
I got really angry with faith and religion and kind of turned my back on it. And I already had all my tattoos and everything, and I got really upset with it. And then
Yeah,
I
that
went
gotta be
out
tough,
and got
dude.
fucked up for a long time.
Yeah, that gotta be tough. Like, getting a tattoo you regret, as someone who doesn't have a tattoo, like, getting a tattoo you really don't regret, but, like, especially, like, in a religion one, or, like, something, like, very serious.
Well,
you
even
know?
now getting sober, I'm now probably especially out of a lot of the comics in New York, I'm probably the most religious. I'm not overly religious, but I
Yeah.
am still more religious than most. Because a lot of people are just
I feel like nobody is.
yeah, it's like a lot of like, oh, I'm atheist. When you die, nothing happens, and I'm like,
Yeah.
all right, man, cool. We're like that. That's
Yeah,
cool.
yeah, it's not all just about dying, dude.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Go kill yourself
Life's,
then,
yeah,
what's happening?
life's about a lot more than dying, you know, but...
Yeah, so I don't regret having them, but yeah, it is.
Well,
one of
yeah,
those
clearly
interesting
not if you're
things.
still... But I'm like, I think that would be that or like a broad's name would be... But like, you could at least cover that up. I feel like... Because I remember seeing like... I feel like the first tattoos kids were getting when we were younger were like giant crosses and shit like that. And I'm like, yeah, that's...
18 years old, baby.
I know, but I know people who got them younger, and I'm like, I've never heard you talk about going to church ever in your entire life. Like, that's
Yeah,
just
but it looks cool,
fucking
Ryan.
retarded. No, I know, but it's like, I don't know, it's like a serious thing. You know what I mean? So
Yeah. Are you gonna? You should get. I wanted to have you on. We were talking about this. You've actually come up a lot on the last couple episodes.
is that bad?
No, it's good. Obviously, you heard the clip from Matt's episode.
A bunch of sober people being like, yeah, you know, Ryan
No,
O'Toole's
you know
the
the
next
thing.
guy.
It's not.
the next
I'm
guy.
the sober one. The guests aren't always sober. Everyone, and the whole idea of the podcast was because I would tell people crazy shit that I would do, and then everyone would always go, "Oh my god, that's so crazy." One time I was so drunk, this happened, which is how the podcast kind of was born. But I ran into you on McDougal not too long ago, like 3 weeks ago, and you said something. It was almost a throwaway line. But then I talked about it on like the next 3 episodes of the show because it was very, I don't know, profound, I guess. But we were talking outside and I was like, yeah, I really have to buckle down and start sending like tapes to bookers and like actually contacting bookers. This whole like hanging out at mics and at clubs, hoping my friends will put me on shows isn't really like helping my career. And you just looked at me and you go, yeah, that's the whole fucking point, man. Like that's what we're supposed to do.
Yeah.
And I literally talked about that with like the next 3 comics I had on the show because it is one of those things where like you can't see the forest through the trees. Like it's right in front of your face.
No,
where
but it's
like,
hard. You know, that's something I struggle with too because it's hard because I'm like, I'm not. It's tough to reach out to people. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? I don't like fucking
bothering
asking
people.
for, like, you know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
like, it's a strange thing, is like how to ask. Like, I feel like a lot of people aren't brought up to like ask correctly, honestly, or else.
Well, and it's a hard thing too because it is one of those things where I don't like. It's a running joke where whenever we post anything about a show, people will DM us and be like, "Who books that?" Like it to the point where it's become like
What,
like
they message you?
well, like other like comics when you, like whenever you put up a flyer for a show that's coming
I
up.
turn my direct messages. I like turning them off. Like,
Oh, okay.
I don't like looking at. I mean, people send me shit, and I'm like, unless it's like important or something like that, I try not to just look at stuff. But I don't think I get too many people.
Because I've had
bothering
people
me.
reach out and be like, "Oh, who books that?" And I'm like, "No, hey, no, how you doing? No, like, what's up,
Sure.
man? Like, just
Yeah.
hey, who books that?" And I never wanted to be that person. So then it got to the point where I
You
just
can't be
stopped
nice to these
asking.
fucking
I
animals
know.
out here. Is that's what it is. These people are animals out here. I'm not talking about just comedians. I'm talking about society right now. I mean, just walking up here. I have a 15-minute walk here. When I tell you, I was telling you on the elevator, I go, I've seen this neighborhood. I moved up here. I moved somewhere nice because I didn't want to be around this fucking bullshit. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Everyone, no one listens to anything. No one has a fucking attention span. Like, way more people are actually retarded than I thought. I'm dead serious. I thought it was like, you know, I was like, oh no, most people aren't dumb. It's just the people here and stuff. But then the more I walk around, it's just like no one gives a fuck.
Yeah,
You
and
know,
it's
so no
one of
one
those-
cares about anything. There's no shame in anything. There's no decorum with
Yeah.
anything, with fucking anything. So it's
There's
like,
not.
you're not going to show nothing to me. I'm like, I'm going to go direct to the point, you know?
Well, and that's it. I've learned that working in the restaurant because it is interesting when people come in because sometimes they'll talk to you a certain way and it's like, dude, like I've been like in bad situations. Like you don't know me. Like I'll quit this job right now and put you through the wall. Like
Yeah.
who are you talking to?
Don't do that.
No, but you know what I mean. Like I had a guy the other day. It was just a garbage table. There's 15 people. It was a garbage table. Like doing one of these. Like hey,
Oh, my
hey,
God.
like garbage individuals.
Yeah.
And we were bringing out the food, and we have these big long bone tomahawk ribeyes. They're beautiful steaks, and the bone we kind of like put onto the platter, but it's always like a little wobbly because it's a giant bone. And as we were coming out, the bone fell, and it hit the guy like on the arm and fell on the ground. No big deal. Who gives a shit?
It's a bone, yeah.
This guy freaked out, like stood up. I want to talk to a manager, like got in my face. And I was like, "Sir, I'm sorry. It was an accident." And he's like, "You're supposed to be a professional." And I said, "Sir, it was an accident." And in my head, I'm thinking like, you don't know me, dude. Like, whose face are you getting in?
But that's the thing. It's like people don't communicate with people in like direct ways anymore. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? It's like that's like a big. Now there are people that are about that. Don't get me wrong. There are people that go out looking for it. Okay, looking for it. And hey,
just go north 2 blocks. and
yeah,
you'll
no,
find
not
it.
even. It's everywhere. It's
Yeah,
everywhere.
that's true.
Caps off to them. You know what I mean? But I'm like,
Looking for a problem.
a lot of people don't realize they're getting to that point.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, and it was interesting too because then after the meal, everyone got pretty hammered. One of the other people in the party
yeah.
asked me to take pictures outside, and I did. And
drop his phone?
No, the same guy though came up to me and gave me a hug. Unprompted, just walked up and gave me a hug. He's like, "I'm sorry, I freaked out, man. I was just like, me and my girl were arguing at the time. The food was
Who
coming
gives
out.
a shit?
and
How was the
oh,
tip?
dude.
How was the tip?
Oh,
Who gives a shit?
That's the thing. They left 25% on like a $3,000 tab.
Oh,
so
good for you.
I was kind of like,
yeah.
we're
That's
cool, man.
that's
Yeah.
what really matters.
I was
You
like,
know.
yeah, don't even worry about it, dude.
That's what really matters. That's yeah. I take that. Yeah, that's fine.
I wanted to have you on because your C's won.
Yeah. I love
I don't
the
know
Celtics.
if you guys can hear, but
Love the Boston
Ryan is
Celtics.
from Boston.
2024 NBA champions. I was so happy for them, dude.
Yeah.
I was fucking. It's fun when you have a team that's really good and you just like everybody, you know?
Yeah.
I fucking loved everything about
Derek
this
White in
season
the
throughout.
Olympics now.
Don't even get me started about Kawhi Leonard. I go, and Embiid's next. Embiid's next. You think Embiid's getting on the fucking airplane to France? You're out of your mind, dude. You're out of your mind. You see him last night? I go, he plays like 7 minutes, gets 5 fouls. It's like
Did he really? I didn't see
He's a fucking
it.
idiot, dude. Yeah, he's a moron, dude. And again, it's like if you're the 76ers, why would you want him playing in this shit? You know. And again, if you're Team USA, why do you want him out there? He
not.
can't get up and down the floor. I don't understand it with this guy. Everyone talks about how good this guy is. He can't get up and down the floor. He stays on one side the entire time he's out there. Granted, he can be very good when he does that, but he can't go up and down.
Yeah.
And in these international games, it's all long pass, and you can get the rebound above the rim, so it's like the reset starts even quicker than it does in the NBA.
The FIBA rules are
it
fast.
starts so much faster, and it's like, I can't believe the 76ers are out here, like, for a guy who's, granted, he's accomplished nothing, but he gets paid like he's won multiple finals MVP. He gets
Stole
paid
the
through
MVP
the
from Jokic.
ridiculous. You know, he campaigned for it, for Christ's sakes, you
I
know?
know.
And I'm like, I can't believe the 76ers, but that's what they do. They've enabled this guy his entire career. You know, he's never been wrong about anything.
Yeah, and then, Your Celtics have Tatum, who's on the team, and now Derek White is on the team, and
Drew Holiday.
Drew Holiday.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, getting Holiday and White this year, they were such awesome players. Well, we've had White for 2 years. This was third year with the Celtics.
Porzingis too.
Porzingis, like, just seeing like the elevation of them, and I knew Holiday was a killer when they got Holiday. I was like,
I was shocked that they got him.
Yeah, I was like, that was huge, dude. Like, especially like right before the season like that.
And he
like,
was the heart and soul of those Bucks teams,
bro, big time. And again, it's like getting rid of Marcus Smart was the biggest breath of fresh air.
Were you? I want to ask you about this. Were you? Because
you had to get rid of him.
I listened to a lot of Bill Simmons, and I listened to a lot of Ryan Russillo. And they were talking about how a lot of people in Boston were like, he's the heart and soul of the team. Like, he's the attitude.
Yeah, for a period of
guy.
time he was, but it's not like, you got it when you're when Marcus Smart is the heart and soul of your team, you lose to an 8 seed. You get blown out by an 8 seed on your home court in the Eastern Conference Finals in a Game 7. So that speaks to everything you need to know. Best of luck, I was so thrilled when they got rid of him.
What did you think about Rob Williams showing up? And
I knew that was going to happen.
He showed up at the finals and went into the locker room. No longer a part of the team.
Oh, I think I missed that. Good for him. I didn't even know he did that, but I mean, good for him, I guess.
Because Jaylen Brown was like, "The fuck are you doing here?"
Yeah. I mean, I didn't even know about that. I mean, that's pretty nuts. But I was happy with him. And you get Holiday, who's like people who. It was time for Marcus Smart to go.
Yeah.
Okay, it was time. It was time.
Well, the problem was he thought he was. He thought there
you
was
had
a big
to get.
three.
You had a big three.
Well,
he thought he was fucking.
He
thought he was like fucking Charles Barkley for crazy. I mean, not even. I mean, he thought he was Ray Allen with how much he shot 3-pointers. I swear to God, for frustrating athletes I've watched in my life, I got 20 solid years, maybe even more. I'd say 2003. I could go back and pretty much tell you about every Bruins, Celtics, Patriots, and Red Sox team, the seasons, what was going on. When I tell you the most frustrating athletes I've watched on my team, Marcus Smart is, he's far and above for me. He's far and above. Now, I'm not saying he didn't do it because he did a lot of good things with the Celtics and shit, but the frustration levels, he was a low IQ ball player at the end of the day. He didn't understand his role. Last year, Game 6 of the Eastern Conference Finals, the season is on the line. The season is on the line in Miami. Why is Marcus Smart hawking up a fucking three? And he gets bailed out by one of the most.
12 seconds left on the shot clock.
But no, it was right at the end. It was right at the buzzer. It was the season was on the line. It was the last possession, and Derek White made one of the greatest plays I've ever seen.
Oh God, I forgot about that. Yeah,
everyone forgets about it because the Celtics ended up losing the series. But Derek White would have went down as a Boston legend last year if they managed to win Game 7. Now, they didn't deserve to win Game 7. They didn't deserve to beat Miami. That being said, like, why was Marcus Smart taking that three? He's not a good shooter. Like, why? But that's
the thing. He's no Pritchard.
I love Peyton Pritchard, man.
The 5-step half court.
I mean, I've been watching him do that for the last 4 years, dude. He's been fucking heaving those things up.
Did you go to the parade?
No,
you didn't.
No parade.
How many parades have you been to?
I missed this Celtics one. I missed the Bruins one. And I missed the last Red Sox and Patriots one. So I've been to 9 parades. So.
You've been to 9 parades?
Yeah, I missed those 4, though.
Okay. So you haven't gone to a parade recently, then? Because those were all the most recent ones.
Well, Boston's been I've lived in New York. Not that I couldn't. I was going to go a couple weeks ago. I was
just saying, you go back to Boston.
I know. I had work on Friday. Yeah. I don't get me wrong. I get to watch the game with my friend. I got to watch the game with my family. And then I drank at my buddy's house till like 5 in the morning.
After the win?
Yeah. I didn't watch the game with them, but I was driving back and I called them up and I'm like, no one was going to work the next day. Everyone had it. We watched till the sun went up. We just watched the news and the interviews and fucking. Because I was sober. I didn't drink during the game. I watched the game with my grandfather, which was super cool.
That's
He's
awesome.
seen. I mean, he remembers all 18 teams, which is pretty insane. I watched it with my dad. And it was nice. It was so fun, and I was so happy for them. And then I was calling my buddies on the way back. I was just calling people on the phone. I had the radio blast, and a few of my buddies were like, dude, come over here, dude. I was like, oh, fuck yeah.
So what happened? Like, you walk in, and everyone's just, like, throwing beers
yeah,
back?
Yeah. It was only one of my buddies knew I was coming in, so I just walked. I knew the door would be open, so I just walked in, and then, everyone was just drinking. There was just a ton of beers. And I didn't touch any liquor, but just drank beers until like 5 in the morning, dude. It was nice.
Man.
And then the next day I woke up and I did the same thing.
Did you really?
Same thing, yeah. Went swimming and shit. It was hot out. It was nice in Boston. I was just all day.
What is that like because obviously we got the Jags flag behind me. I grew up in Daytona.
Yeah.
I've never been like Like, I'm a big Jags fan, but they've never won a championship. What is that like for someone from Boston? Does it get old?
No way.
Okay.
No way. No, of course not, dude. Of course not. Bro, out of the 81 Celtics games and then 20 playoff games or whatever the fuck it was, I probably watched. This was the most I've watched the Celtics this season.
Yeah.
Now, I've watched them a lot over the last 4 or 5 years. I've really, I probably watched,
Well, it's 82
over
games.
90. I've watched
yeah.
over 90% of the games this year.
Damn.
Yeah, regular season, postseason, and everything.
So
Not
you were
all
locked
live,
in.
not all live, but I mean, I had every game recorded if I missed it, and I watched every game this season. So I liked it that way. But it's like you don't care about it in the same way you do like when you were a child. Like when I was a child, put it this way: when the Celtics won in 2008, I was like fucking 14 or whatever, and that was like it's different. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like when the Red Sox won when I was a kid, it was like totally
what was
different.
the
The
04
Patriots, oh, it was crazy. That one will never get topped. I don't think that one will ever get topped just for being like
'Cause
mind
it was 87 years or something like that.
86, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's just the way they did it with but you care about the teams in a different way, though. You know what I mean? You care about the teams I would definitely say I cared more, and I cared more in like a romantic sense, which fell off after I don't know. Really, after Brady retired was the last for me, with the Patriots and stuff. But even though I thought of most of my life, I feel like I thought about it as in an adult way. But you just think of shit. You care about shit differently, you know?
Well, yeah, and I mean Brady. You grew up with Brady.
Yeah.
I mean,
I remember
you're barely
every
30, so you
single,
know,
every single 31 now. I remember every single Tom Brady game, every single one.
That's crazy.
Everyone. I remember when he got hurt against the Jets, dude. I mean, when Bledsoe got hurt against the Jets. I remember watching that game. Yeah.
Do you remember? Because it's funny you say that.
It was right after 9/11.
I remember the Kansas City game, which altered everything and the Brady rule and all that kind of stuff. I remember watching
Which one?
that,
Where he got hurt?
Yeah. And I remember watching that, and it wasn't a big hit. And I remember watching it being like...
He got rolled on.
Yeah, I was like, oh, he'll come back in. And then he didn't. And then, it came out that he had torn his ACL, and he was gone for the season. And I was like, what the... And then Matt Castle made a ton of money off that season.
Well, dude, that team went 11-5.
Yeah.
People forget that. That team went 11-5 and missed the playoffs, dude.
It was so different back then.
Well, the Dolphins just had a good year. You know what I mean? And the crazy thing about that
the
team,
Chad Pennington year?
That 08, no, Brett Favre.
Oh,
Yeah.
No.
Favre was
The
on the
Vikings.
Jets, and then Pennington was on the.
So that wasn't the Favre year where he took the Vikings to the NFC
No.
Championship.
That was the
year
next
before.
year.
Oh,
That was the next year.
Yeah. Yeah, because he couldn't go back to the NFC North until the contract was up.
So, but the crazy thing about that Patriots team is that team was getting better as the season went on.
Yeah.
I saw that team I think it was the second to last game of the season in a fucking blizzard, a legit blizzard. They played the Arizona Cardinals that year and beat them 47-7. And that game was in week 15, and that was the Arizona team that was this close to winning the Super Bowl against the Steelers.
Yeah.
I remember Kurt Warner got benched for Matt Leinart in the first quarter, and that Patriots team murdered them. Where I was Castle was fine and shit, playing the elements, but I'm that team was stacked, dude. Wes Welker, Randy Moss, Junior Seau, Rodney Harrison, Teddy Bruschi, Vince Wilfork, that team was so loaded, and that's one of the big what ifs, dude. That team, because I feel like a lot of people remember they didn't make the playoffs. Well, they didn't make the playoffs, and they were 11-5.
Yeah, that doesn't happen anymore.
And that season started off as an absolute disaster.
There's teams that are going 9-8 now making the playoffs.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Especially now that they have.
But back then though, that same year, if I'm not mistaken, that same year, I want to say 2008. We can look it up. Is the San Diego Chargers They won the division at 8-8 that year, and they got in because they were a division team, and the Patriots were 3 teams better.
Seahawks.
No, I thought it was the Chargers.
Was it the Chargers? Because remember,
there was an AFC team. I want to say it was the Chargers.
There was that Seahawks year where they made the playoffs. Nobody thought they should have.
Yeah, it
and
happened.
Then that's when
that
Marshawn
used to
Lynch
happen
went
every
crazy.
in the
playoffs.
Yeah, that used to happen every few years back.
Because I remember everyone was like, "Oh, Drew Brees is gonna mop the Seahawks," and then that
was in Seattle.
Yeah, and that was the whole beast mode game where he just started running people over.
Oh yeah,
and
that was
like,
amazing.
oh shit, because that was one of the first games I ever bet on.
Yeah.
Because I was like, oh, Drew Brees is gonna destroy them, and I lost so bad.
Yeah.
Have you been betting on a lot of games? Because we talked about this on your last episode.
No.
You had talked about how you started gambling. Not really gambling, but you started laying bets down and stuff when you were a kid.
Yeah, I started gambling like fully when I was 8 years old.
Yeah,
like that was when I was. I would say that was like when that wasn't the first time I gambled, but that was when I would say I became a regular gambler. It was 2001. I feel like by like the end of that year right there, I was already like regularly gambling.
Yeah,
because. Or I shouldn't say I was gambling, but I was handicapping is what I was doing. I was handicapping horse race. Now, I'd pitch quarters. Like, we played quarters on the street and stuff when we were young, which I guess is gambling. But as far as, like, the sports stuff, it was where I started watching odds and actually betting on stuff was then.
Yeah, because the last time you came on, you said you hadn't really done it.
I'm not interested in it anymore.
Okay.
You know, I've bet, I'll bet games for, like, a dinner or something if I'm, like, talking shit with somebody or, like... You know, there's always like something I have going on in the season, but as far as like I've never had DraftKings or any of that shit, or like I gambled in Vegas, and I think I went to Vegas in like October or November or something, and I was in Las Vegas. I'm sitting at a sports book and recline. I'll gamble there, but I'm not at my house or something like that. I don't do that no more. You know?
I wanted to ask you, what was and I don't mean to bring up hard feelings,
but
what was that season like with the Patriots in 2007?
Dude.
Because we talked about like the C's winning and like you've gone to 9 different parades.
That was the toughest one.
For those of you listening, the Patriots went undefeated in the regular season, made it all the way to the Super Bowl, and then lost to the Giants, who they were hugely favored over.
Yeah, 14-point favorites, I believe.
Yeah, 14 and a half, something like that. And then
I think it was something like that.
The Giants won.
Or maybe it was a little lighter.
When you're watching that game.
14 was, I think it was like 11. I think that game was like 11 and a half or 12.
It was double digits, though, for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
Because everyone's like, oh, they're going to muff them.
Yeah, that was the absolute worst.
Where were you watching that game at?
Watched at my grandfather's house, the same place I watched the Celtics win the other night. I watched that there, but in his basement. And that was like the worst week of my entire life. I'll be 100. My grandmother died like
oh my God.
She died on like the
Thursday.
Yeah. No. Like maybe like she died like with like a week left before the game. Okay. I would say so. Like she died like after the bye week though. It was like right before the game, and like all the shit went on during the week, and like that was the only thing I was looking for, because that team, that 2007 team was. I knew the first game. Yeah. I knew the first game where I was like, holy fucking shit. Like,
that Randy Moss pickup was genius.
Well, Welker too, and like the way everything just changed, and like Brady playing at a different level. I knew that first game where I was like, okay, it's not gonna be fucking Rashay Caldwell anymore. Okay, like this is a totally
different team.
All respect to Christian Fourier and stuff. These players are
throwing out these names
because it was a totally different team. Like it was kind of similar to like how this Celtics team like had nasty players and stuff. And obviously that Patriots team, the difference is that Patriots team already won a fucking handful of Super Bowls. But that like when it was a totally new look, and the style was like. And then again, it's like what we were talking about. Like when I was 14, like I don't think I cared more about sports when I was in 8th grade, dude.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that was like prime. Like it's not like I was drinking or partying or anything like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, the whole year was just so fun because it was like they were on that was the first time I feel like the national news was really covering a sports team. It was because of the Spygate and all the like shit going on where I was like, damn, the NFL's dirty, bro.
Well, and now it's become a thing where, because like the Patriots, because they've won so much, they're just like, and same thing with Boston.
And
they
were
just like
blowing teams out. Like that was the other thing about like 2007 is like that shit was so personal. The way they went after Belichick and fucking railroaded them and like always gave them something where it's like they were running the scores up in that season. Like there's a game
they were still throwing to Randy Moss deep, and
bro,
they were up by like 3 touchdowns
easily. Like, and that was the thing, and it was like I'll never forget when there was a couple of those games that year, but the one that always stuck out to me was they played the Redskins, and it was Joe Gibbs like right at the end, right at the end. His last game,
they brought him back.
Yeah,
they were like,
bro. And it's like Belichick and Gibbs have gone back and forth for. I mean, bro, they coached against each other all those years in the NFC East. Like he was with Washington when Belichick. Like that shit is like pretty documented if you follow it. Like these guys don't like each other. That was also the last game Sean Taylor ever played. R.I.P. But they were up like fucking. it was like 38-0 in the third quarter, and Brady went back fucking 5 wide and threw a bomb to Moss down the sideline and like hauls it in fucking for like 65 yards. And it was like that was like they became like, you watched them become like a fun team, and like the underdogs, like, and of course they won, but the ultimate bad guys. Where I was like, these people are, and they asked
That's when all of the Patriots vitriol came around.
Totally.
People were like, fuck them, fuck Boston.
Yeah, and everything came out like when they questioned Belichick after the game about running the score and Brady, and like, we're trying to score as much points as we can and kill teams. And I was like, whoa. I was going crazy.
Because they were so pissed at the NFL.
Crazy. As they should have been.
Yeah.
As they should have been. And it's a shame they lost, but like, it's terrible that they lost. It really is. Like, I think about it all the time, but it's like, I don't feel any differently about that team because they fucking went for it. And like what they took on in the national media and the Boston media and even the New York media, because everyone's like, oh yeah, the Giants beat them. Well, the Jets were the ones who fucking, it was the Eric Mangini thing and the New York Post and the Daily News and all that who stirred that bullshit up.
Yeah.
You know, and that was at a time where it was like, now the New York Post puts something out and everyone goes, oh, they're a bunch of crazy right-wing fucking retards,
but
whatever.
They used to listen to them.
People used to, yeah, and I still think to this day, the New York Post has, to this day, currently in 2024, has one of the best sports sections you'll ever come across on the, like,
they always have such good headlines.
Amazing. But, well, yeah, they have the headlines and it's funny, but like the actual coverage, racing, football, baseball, college sports, they're great with it. But they made it was more like Page 6 than it was sports. It was like late night shows, everything, and it was nuts.
That was, I remember, because we've only ever had it one time in Jacksonville, and that was the Saxonville season, where 2018, where the season started and everyone's like, Blake Bortles, like, what are we going to do? Like, this team's garbage.
Yeah.
You know, Leonard Fournette, we took too early.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden they started winning.
Yeah.
And I bring it up because AFC Championship game, we're going against
the Jaguars got
Tom Brady and the Patriots.
The Jaguars got screwed in that game. Like I tell people all the time,
Miles Jack was not down.
I totally agree with that. I 100% wholeheartedly agree with you on that. That was the Jags kind of got fucked in that game.
Yeah. So for anyone listening who doesn't know football, Miles Jack, there's a fumble. He recovers it, picks it up, goes to run. He basically was going to be a recovery for 6 to win the game, and then they said he was down, and there wasn't
even really close, but it really wasn't. But then again, it's like, you know, we can't rely on, I mean, the officiating in the NFL is so bad that it's like, unfortunately, those things happen. Like,
you guys went on to win the Super Bowl.
No, they lost to Philadelphia that
year.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that was
also, I think the referees fucked the Patriots in that game.
The Statue of Liberty game.
They totally fucked the Patriots in that game. It's like, that's something no one ever wants to talk about is, there was a big Patriots-Steelers game early in that season where Jesse James reached over the goal line, fumbled, and they didn't call it a completed thing. People were acting retarded. Anyways, later on in that Super Bowl, the league already installed pretty much next year's rules in amongst the referees, and there was 2 plays in that game. But we won the next year. They beat the Rams the next year. So that was the important thing. They ended up winning the Super Bowl next year.
Well, that was the thing.
It's just awful officiating.
The next year, we're coming back. We gave Blake Bortles the weird extension to
you killed the Patriots early in that season.
Week 4, we destroyed the Patriots,
murdered the Patriots,
and we're back
in Jacksonville.
We didn't win another game for like 5 weeks.
I know.
And I was like, what is happening? We missed the playoffs. You guys go on to win the Super Bowl.
They weren't even close. They weren't even like close. Who was coach? Was that Doug Marrone?
Yeah,
Doug Marrone.
Fresh,
yeah, I was like. That team, I remember when because I felt that way, obviously, all that offseason. It's like, this team got screwed. They're ready to take a step up. And I remember that game early in the year. It was like 100 degrees, dude. And, I was like, they beat the shit out of the Patriots.
Yeah, and Josh Allen, I think his rookie year, his second year, he's making plays. And we're like, because his rookie year was the 2018 year. And I was like, all right. Here we go.
That's right. Jacksonville, Josh Allen. That's right. Had a monster. I remember that was right when
we didn't win another game for like 5 weeks.
I know. And they talked so much shit after that goddamn game. They talked so much shit after that game.
I wanted to ask you, because the last time you were on, we talked about how you got to New York, the partying, the improv, or not the partying, the acting, the improv, all that kind of stuff. But you had mentioned something. You were voted, what was it, biggest partier in high school?
Yeah, dude. Oh, Life of the Party,
Life of the Party. That's
Life
what it
of
was.
the Party, dude. 2012.
In your
Peabody High. Fuck yeah.
In your first episode, we kind of just brushed over it because we were talking about Grand Central and you getting put in handcuffs and you hanging out with Chadwick Boseman and stuff.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you. I wanted to kind of ask you about that though. How did that come about? Because you talked about the fake ID thing. And
how did what come about?
Like being the life of the were you just showing up to parties and just getting hammered? Like what happened?
Yeah, pretty much, dude.
'Cause
I
you said
loved
you started
getting
drinking
drunk
around 15.
Yeah. The most getting drunk at 15 was the absolute best age to get drunk at. I'm sorry. It's like it is. I love having a couple beers, watching a game. Like, even again, there's nothing like watching a championship. Like, I watched the Celtics win, drank beers all night a couple weeks ago, but like how fun you look forward to drinking and stuff, and then doing it when you're a teenager is just like you're more of a shithead. You're not much. Your brain's developing, and you're putting a drug into it, so it's like automatically more fun. So I just love smashing beers, dude. I really enjoyed drinking beers in high school.
So
I still do. Don't get it twisted. I was honestly gonna bring a beer over here, and I go, you know what? I want to break this sobriety up today. I really was thinking about it, but I'm like,
should've.
I was gonna, but I worked out right before I came here, and I'm like, I don't want to have a beer right now.
Okay, I was gonna say we might have some in the fridge if you want.
No,
one.
thank you. Because I got to keep moving around. You know.
But I wanted to add, because to me that's interesting because I didn't have a lot of friends in high school. So when you first start drinking, are you like, obviously you're popular enough to win a superlative? So were you like, was it a big high school that you went to?
There's a lot of people there.
I was gonna say,
I don't know. Now that I think about it, I don't know. Was I popular in high school? Yeah, I mean,
because you didn't get into the acting stuff until later. We talked about that.
Yeah, I don't know. I can't remember. I mean, I think I was pretty popular.
Because you said you played freshman football and then you didn't play again.
Yeah, I sucked. I
went
to every.
I'm out.
I went to every. Yeah, I knew immediately. Football wasn't for me, but I still went to every practice and got my ass kicked.
Hey, you
I wasn't
going to
quit on the team. Yeah, I went to every single. I wasn't going to do that.
So when did you start? Because you said you were 15.
I started drinking.
So
I think I was
like
in
sophomore year.
I can't remember. I think it was my sophomore year of high school. It was like when I really started drinking. I drank a 40-ounce.
Yeah, you talked about that. But then, what were you guys doing? Were you guys having house parties like every weekend?
Oh yeah, dude. Yeah, bro. Totally. Like my buddy, my best friend in high school, his grandmother was like almost always, not always, but a lot of time away.
Yeah.
And we would just get drunk at his house, and like we wouldn't necessarily have parties. Like obviously other kids would have like house parties, but like my closest friend in high school, we wouldn't have parties, but like we'd have like 2 or 3 more of our friends over, and then like just match it with like broads pretty much, or just have it where it was us, where it's like just the 5 of us fucking around playing video games. So that was like kind of the majority.
That's the best though.
Yeah, it is.
You don't have a care in the world. You're like, let's just get drunk and
play
fucking,
Nintendo and shit. Like
64.
So we did a lot. Yeah, egg houses and like do all the typical bullshit a fucking 15 or 16-year-olds are supposed to do. So it was mostly that. But then like I felt like with drinking wise, like when it came to like crushing beers and stuff, I was like, I didn't start drinking as early as a lot of people, but like I picked up on drinking beers immediately. Like I when I was 17 years old, and I have a witness for this, when I was 17 years old, on St. Patrick's Day, it was a Sunday, I cleared a 30 rack of Coors Light over 17 years old.
Damn.
My buddy Matt will back me up on this. 30 beers. Listen, I cleared 30 beers in an entire day. Granted, I started probably at 9 a.m. and went to I'd say 11.
Yeah.
I would say 11 o'clock. So it was 14 hours. But over 14 hours, I drank 30 beers and went to school the next day.
Did you really?
Yeah, my mom made my ass get to school, dude.
What is a hangover like when you're like that age?
You get over it fast, but like that was like the first time I drank where it was clearly a school night, and like.
Would your mom say, like, did she just come in and
my mom would let me go.
Bed?
Yeah, like. Because I didn't miss school a lot. Like,
yeah.
I was at school almost every day. Like, my attendance was, like, never an issue. So, like, my mom would – if I really asked my mom, she'd let me stay home, right? Like
my dad was like that, where if I was like, I don't feel well, he would give me, like, one day where he was like, all right, cool.
Because I had fun at school. Like, I really had fun at school. Like,
so you were popular.
Probably, yeah. Looking back, I probably was.
Because I didn't have fun at school. That's how all this stuff happens.
Sure. I didn't but I didn't enjoy like a lot of high school. Like I had fun fucking around, but there was a lot I didn't enjoy necessarily. But my mom, she knew I drank because she picked me up in Salty, and then we're driving back home
at 11 o'clock at night.
Like around that time, and I remember she knew I was hungover. I mean, I was drunk. She knew I was drinking that day. She knew. I told her, and. The next morning, I was like, I'm just not going to go to school today. And she just opened the window up, and, like, I remember she took the blanket off of me. Like, so there was nothing covering me, and it was cold. It was March, you know? That was a cold St. Patty's Day. I remember that about that St. Patty's Day. It was fucking cold. And I remember she's like, you think you're going to miss school because you drank last night? She's like, there's no fucking way. She's like, get ready. And, like, was just being loud and, like, making me go to school. And I was like, fuck. And, like, I remember getting to school. and I was so I was like still drunk, honestly, dude. I probably weighed like 150 pounds.
And 30
dude.
beers in a day is
Yeah,
a lot.
yeah.
Even now, it's
yeah,
a lot.
it was, dude. It was so much. Like I just remember pissing and sweating, like
All day.
and you already got to sweat all the time when you're going through fucking puberty,
Yeah.
anyways, dude. So it's like I got a boner most of the day. I'm sweating. I'm pissing. Like it was just a disaster, dude. It was so bad. And I remember that later on that day, I had my backpack on the street. We were putting beers in it and shit. We were going out.
That day? That next
The
day?
day before. The day before.
Okay,
So
okay.
I had like a bag, and like people were putting beers in my bag, and like, but I had this water bottle. Someone gave me a bottle of Jameson. It was in like a fucking, it was like a Poland Spring bottle or something. And it was hanging.
Filled with Jameson?
Yeah, nothing else in it. Like nothing else, just Jameson, dude. And like I remember going through my bag the next day when I'm like taking a book out, because I put my shit back in and I forgot. I'm like, oh shit, I'm in math class, and I'm like, dude, I have a bottle of fucking JMO, right? Like, and the teachers know I smelled like booze. That was
You
another
had
thing,
to have.
bro. That was another thing. Like, kids were coming up to me and they're like, dude, you literally smell like
A brewery.
like beer, dude. They're like,
Yeah.
I can smell beer. I remember certainly one girl telling me, she's like,
You
I
smell
can
like my dad.
She's like, I can smell it coming out of you, Ryan. And I was like, fuck. And then I found this bottle of fucking whiskey, and I'm like, all right, I gotta get rid of this. Like, I gotta get rid of it. And I went to my locker. I went to my locker and I opened up it and I smelled it, and I was like, oh my god. It made me like nauseous to a point where I was like, holy shit, dude. But I can't remember if I think I gave it to someone or I dumped it. I can't
Okay.
remember exactly. I didn't drink it.
I thought you were going to go to your
No,
locker.
no,
and
no, no.
swig it.
Oh, I did that a couple times. I drank in school. I
Did you?
drank in school. Yeah, but not on St. Patrick's Day.
No wonder you
The
got
day
life of the
after.
party, man.
Not after that. I drank at school too. I did it a similar time where I was hungover. I found
This must have been later on when you were kind of like getting your bearings on like, oh, if you drink when you're hungover, you actually feel better.
I don't know. Yeah, I think that's what I thought at the time,
Yeah.
which I never found true personally.
Oh, really?
No,
Because I did
didn't.
find that true. I would hair
I
the dog
didn't.
at like crazy.
I never bought into that. I was always good with like Pedialyte, Gatorade, bro.
Yeah.
I would fucking I can't believe I'm not diabetic with the amount of Gatorade I drank from the way I would deal with hangovers, bro. Purple Gatorades,
Yeah.
ice cold or warm. I don't give a shit. One sip right out of the fridge, dude. Like
Just-
when I'm hungover, like
It's so interesting how people's bodies are so different. Like people would tell me they're like, "Oh, just eat a bunch of greasy food." And if
No.
I was really hungover and I smelled anything,
yeah.
I'd throw up
Yeah,
like
yeah.
immediately.
Yeah.
But I would bang shots if I was super
there's
hungover.
different types of hangovers though.
Yeah,
That's
that's
the
true.
thing. It's like
Because I was never a beer guy. I was always a liquor guy.
yeah. So I love drinking beers. So it's like I wouldn't get a lot of those. Like usually, if I drank beer and I smelled whiskey, whiskey wouldn't like it didn't like. I remember feeling sick and like getting dizzy when I did that, but I didn't feel like I wanted to like vomit. Where it's
Yeah.
like if I smelled a beer that morning, I would have probably threw up.
Throw up.
You know.
Yeah. How often did you drink? You didn't drink at school like all the time, but just
No,
every
I
once in a while?
probably did it like. Not a lot.
I
not a
remember
lot.
because when I was in
Not
high
a
school,
lot.
because I didn't have a
Probably
ton
like
of
4
friends.
times. I guess
Okay.
like 4 or 5 times maybe.
I didn't have a ton of friends, and I remember my senior year.
You mean like during the day, right?
Yeah, like at
I'd say
school.
4.
The popular kids would go because by the time we were seniors, you were allowed to leave campus. So the popular kids would leave campus, and then they would always come back either super stoned or fucked
Oh,
up.
man, yeah.
And I was like, "You guys are doing this every day?
Yeah.
Like you guys are so cool."
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And
Yeah.
so I just remember thinking like I would never. And then when I got to college and actually had friends and became popular, I was showing, especially after football was over, I was showing up to class like hammered every day.
Yeah, well, college, that must happen all the time,
Yeah.
right? I feel like college, that's like most of it, right?
Yeah,
Isn't
just
the
drunk
big part
all
of
the
college?
time.
Yeah, so
So you last time you were on, you talked about how after high school you ended up bartending and barbacking for a while.
yeah.
Was that an experience? Because I know that life just from obviously living in it. Did that really ramp up your partying?
No, I don't think so.
You don't think so?
It made me more comfortable drinking and doing things, but like partying, no, I
Would
wouldn't.
you drink at work? Because
Hell yeah,
okay.
bro. Fuck yeah, dude. Absolutely.
When I first
dude.
started waiting tables and I was really drinking, I was like, "Oh, I'm a better server when I'm drunk."
Yeah.
Because I'm like, "Yo, what's up,
Oh, dude.
everybody?"
We fucking drank it. I'll say this. I drank at work. Out of those 4 years or whatever the fuck it was, 4.5, I drank at work probably more days than I didn't. I'll say that. Where if you were talking consuming at least one beverage,
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. And if you would have span it out, like I would have had a pretty high batting average, I would say. Not all the time, but I wouldn't do it all the time, but like, yeah, I would have a
Fuck
drink.
yeah, man.
Yeah.
How is because we talked about this last time. You moved to New York. You got the opportunity to go to the conservatory and do acting. And then the last time you were on, you had just gotten back from Edinburgh doing the play out in.
Oh, that's
Europe.
how long it's been since I've
Yeah.
been on here? That was like 2 years ago.
Yeah, you had literally just gotten off the plane from Edinburgh like
Really?
a few days before. Yeah. So what have
I was
you?
trying to think when that was.
I was gonna say, how have you been? How was like acting? Because I don't.
Same shit, fucking auditioning,
Yeah.
reading shit, you know what I mean? Sending shit in, fucking telling, do this, do that.
Everything's done on.
For the most part. For
like
the most
on
part, the shit you
cameras,
send
right?
in. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I've been practicing, I've been taking classes, I've been working on characters, things of that nature. But I'm trying to think what the last thing I was in. I think I did. I did some shit the other day. I don't even know what they're gonna do. They're gonna use my voice. I said a bunch of bullshit.
Yeah.
That's really what I think I've done more. Excuse me, is through the voiceover shit. I think
Yeah.
that's what I've done the most of. You know.
Well, you have a very distinct voice.
I think everyone does. But I got that, usual shit. You know,
Yeah.
acting's, you want to do it all the time. You want to just find a way to. It's like comedy. You just want to find a way to do it, be able to do it all the time.
I was gonna ask you, since you've dabbled in both worlds, what's harder in your opinion, acting or comedy? Because I assume it would be acting. Because comedy, you can at least your friends can put you up on shows.
Well, I
and,
mean,
like,
you
there's
do
a
it
lot
the way
more
you like.
opportunity.
Yeah, like what do you mean? Like what's harder to get opportunity?
Yeah, like what's harder to like get your foot in the door, like to where you could
Probably
be like,
acting.
Yeah,
Probably
where you're like,
acting.
oh, I'm gonna do this. This is the
Yeah.
thing I do now.
Probably like acting, but it's like I don't know. I think they're probably the same.
Yeah.
You know, there's obviously way more actors than there are comedians.
Are
but,
there?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Definitely.
I don't act. I don't know. I've never.
Definitely.
I mean, I meet a lot of people who are actors that like I work with and stuff, but I've
Yeah.
never actually.
No,
like,
definitely. Your shit's in like a, because a lot of it is. I mean, listen. Obviously, it depends what you're doing though. There's so much shit, but I'd say that probably there's more actors, but it's still the same. It's like I think if no matter what you're doing, if you want to go to the moon, if you work hard enough, you'll get there. You know what I mean? So.
Well, and also it's like different because with like acting. Like with comedy, like I did my own show. Like it's like with comedy, you can just find a bar and be like, "Hey, I want to produce a show here. What's your slowest
you
night?"
can do that with acting though too.
Can you? That's what I
Yeah.
wanted to know because
Absolutely.
like you guys have to like
Yeah,
get
there's
rigs
Broadway, there's off Broadway, there's off Broadway, there's people putting on fucking shows in their living rooms. For
I guess
Christ's
yeah,
sake.
that's true.
So it just depends on what you mean. Which I still consider all that shit acting.
yeah,
you know what
'cause
I mean?
I was thinking like more like film and stuff like that.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that shit's of course that's hard to do. You know what I mean? I wonder if this would reach. Yeah, maybe. Yeah. I put it here. Is it gonna fuck the camera up?
No, you're
I'll
good.
hold it. I just wanted to see. It's the same shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I wanted to because we were talking about this. I don't know, one of the times because I run into you a lot on McDougal Street. Are you what are you more excited for? The Patriots with Drake May or with the Celtics trying to repeat?
Both probably, but
If you had to rank it,
what about what I'm more excited for?
yeah,
I'm more curious to see. Obviously, it's like the Drake May era, I guess people will be calling it. But for me, it's really more so the post Belichick era. So,
yeah. Oh yeah, because you got Gerard Mayo now.
yeah. So my entire life up until 4 months ago, Bill Belichick was in total charge of the New England Patriots. My
Yeah.
entire career as a fan, it's been Belichick running shit. With literally running shit too,
Yeah, 'cause
not
he
just
was the GM too.
everything, coach, GM, president, everything. So I'm excited to see that. But yeah, I don't know. It's tough to say. I'm probably excited for both of them in very different ways. Because listen, best case scenario, the Patriots are winning 5 or 6 games next year. You could
think
win.
so?
Yeah, definitely.
I think Jacoby Brissett can bring them to 7
They
or 8.
could. Yeah, you know what? You're right. They probably could win 7 or 8. But what I'm saying is they could have a good season next year and not win a lot of games.
That's true,
That's
yeah.
that's really what I mean to say instead of what I just said. They could they could go out and win 7 games next year and it could be deemed a successful season depending on certain things that happen.
Yeah.
So it's
because everyone says Drake May needs some time.
well, they already said most of the season Brissett's going to be the fucking quarterback.
Yeah.
And it's again, you have a rookie quarterback. Yeah, that's one thing, but we also have a rookie head coach, which is fucking that's just as big a deal, if not bigger, than a rookie quarterback.
Yeah. Well, and then it's the Celtics last year altogether next year because of the second apron. They're going to have to trade either Holiday or Porzingis or both after next year if they don't want to pay $450 million in luxury tax.
Well, who knows? Maybe they will pay it,
You guys have a new owner.
Not yet. We're not going to have a new owner till 2028. So,
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I just
so
heard that
the team's up for sale. They're going to start shopping around. But
Yeah.
Grousbeck's going to be running this fucking thing for a while. Now, obviously, that could change. Maybe someone wouldn't want to buy a team if you have to take on all this debt, but this is a guy, Grousbeck, who loves his team, and it's like, again, I'm not saying they're going to spend $600 million, whatever the fuck it is, but like, it wouldn't be the most surprising thing if they like at least entertain it, you know, because they
Golden
really
State model where they really like, fuck it, pay it.
They really care. Yeah, but I mean, but then you see it, it's like they'll get smoked come next go round with, for the most part. But big thing is they got Tatum and Brown locked up for fucking the next 6 and 7 years.
Are those? So. I wanted to ask you because you're a Boston guy, obviously. Are those your guys?
Yeah, we drafted both of them.
No, but I'm saying for you, like, because there was a lot of talk because they went to 6 conference finals in 8 years.
Yeah,
and they could not get over the hump. They went to 1 finals and lost to Golden State, an old Golden State team. So for you, as just a fan, someone who truly loves Boston sports, were you like, we got to trade Brown?
No.
Okay, so you were always with
way.
the.
I was nervous when they gave him that contract last year. I was really nervous. I knew their games both had to.
Couldn't go left.
No, their careers also both had to progress. You know, like that was the big thing with them. It took like the first year they both played together. They got to the Eastern Conference Finals against LeBron, which was crazy. Like, you know what I mean? Like that was pretty insane. And even the year before that, they played LeBron in the playoffs too. I don't know if it was the Eastern Conference Finals, but they got swept. That was the.
Well, I remember when they took Brown. That was everyone said it was a reach.
Yeah, which I'm so grateful for. I love Jaylen Brown, but they got the thing is like they got totally embarrassed last year. Last year was disgraceful, and you could even make the case the Golden State year was a bit of a disappointment. Yeah, you know what I mean?
I had Boston the whole time.
Bro, they go back and watch the games too. They were this close to being up 3-1 in the series. So, you know, at home, by the way, too. And fucking. Anyway, so they took their losses and they redeemed it this year tremendously. I mean, they won 64 fucking games in the regular season.
They were 14 ahead on the East.
They killed everybody. So I'm so happy for them. And you know, it takes time. It's like I wasn't unrealistic in the sense. It's like, bro, to get a 23 and a 24-year-old to lead a team to the NBA Finals is crazy. Yeah. You gotta mature. You know what I mean? And you saw it this year. It's like. I think Jaylen Brown's the most athletic player in the NBA. I really do. And you see it in his body now. It's different. And you see Tatum. It's like Tatum, like this season was the first year Tatum really could be like, he could like bully somebody and just go to the basket. Like that was the big thing with him. It's like, I listen to people still critical of him and it's like, oh, he doesn't do this, he doesn't do that. It's like, yeah, but he can get to the foul line at will and he's going to shoot more than 80% when he gets there. So it's like, matters, I go, okay, yeah, he doesn't, but so I'm happy for them. And obviously they'll be favored again next year. You know, I think they're so much better than everyone in the Eastern Conference. You can make a case.
Orlando?
Hey, you know, there'll be a team that's going to like – Orlando's going to be a team that they have a bit more expectations going forward next season. Like they
Which
had –
is the detriment to the team.
But we'll see.
Because we snuck up on everybody last year because Paolo was way better than anybody thought he was going to be.
Yeah, but that's a good thing, though, because what if next year he does that again?
I know. And
Anthony Edwards did that. I mean, Anthony Edwards this year – this past season, I mean, I thought Anthony Edwards was really good since he's come into the league. You know what I mean? Really good. But last year he was really fun, and then this season that just passed, he surprised everybody.
Yeah,
that's
true.
So you see certain things that Banchero does where I watch him play. There's certain things that are there. It's like if he's in the right situation and the guys around him, it's like I think he could be an All-NBA player.
Hell yeah.
Like, was he All-NBA this year?
No, just missed it.
Really?
Yeah. But he's one of those guys like almost like a Drew Holiday in the sense where everyone knows how, or Derek White, like everyone knows how good they are, but for some reason they don't get these awards that you think they should get.
Well, it's tough. I think it's,
well, especially now because everyone's like, oh, you know, LeBron still needs to make All NBA and Steph Curry and this and that.
The league. That's on the league though, because the way the contracts are now, it's like you see all these teams, NBA all first team defense. It was all big guys. NBA all second team defense. It was all guards. You know what I mean? So it's not so much about like naming who's the best at each position now versus it is someone needs to get one of those spots.
Well, and that's
because of the incentives.
That was the Halliburton thing. Halliburton played out of his mind until December, gets hurt, and then everyone's like, he's going to lose $40 million because he could not get back to the level he was
That's how
at the
it is,
beginning of
though.
the season. And he lost $40 million.
Well, but
because of it.
again, it's like this, when you hear, again, it's called a collective bargaining agreement. They both agree on this.
Yeah.
They both negotiate on this. The union and the league, the owners, they both do it, and that's how it is. And overall, I think it was best that they got this shit this year because they also said you can't be MVP if you don't play 65 fucking games, which should have always been that way, honestly.
Like that.
So listen, they still have a long way to go, the NBA. A long way to go from it to be a more watchable product, Trust me, when I tell you I watched 95% of the games or whatever this year, there was a lot where I was just like, what the fuck am I watching right now? This is absolute trash. Why am I wasting my time? Ridiculous. So ridiculous.
Dude, this was so much fun. Thanks for coming on, bro.
Thanks for having me. I could look outside of this window for fucking. It was almost like distracting me. The second.
Oh, so you don't.
But this is fucking. I mean, this is outrageous.
It's the MetLife building right there, dude.
Yeah, I mean, this is that's crazy. You got all my 432 Park Avenue. I was telling you, that's my favorite building in the world, right there.
Wait, is that because did you learn about that from doing the tour guide stuff? Or?
I've liked that building. That building, it talks to me, dude. I said this from before I moved to New York, and I'd come down here, and that's when I would get drunk.
That's that skinny building right there.
Yeah,
right? Yeah,
right there. That was the building I'd see, and I was like, that's a fucking amazing building. I want to look at it, take pictures. I feel something inside of it. It does. I like that. It's no one ever. I mean, for the longest time, it was really the biggest building in New York City.
What is it now?
Well, they still consider the World Trade Center, but in my book, I don't count the World Trade Center. They count the World Trade Center because they count the fucking antenna. They count
it's like
1776 at the top of the antenna. But you can't go on the antenna. If you were on the top of 432, even fucking like the 4 or 5 floors below it, you're higher than you can go on World Trade Center.
Yeah, because
you know
it's
what
like
I mean?
30
By a long
stories
shot.
tall. Yeah.
Yeah. So. That's why I like that. I like that it doesn't have a name. It's just its address. And
what's your favorite part about New York that you've learned from doing the tour stuff?
I don't know how to piss in between cars and just what it's added to. I mean, I think I already have a pretty good urban sense growing up in a city before, but just different. I don't know. There's a lot. I couldn't pick millions. Meeting random retards that I can do podcasts with about being sober or whatever. That's my favorite part.
Dude, this was fun. Plug everything one more time.
Ryan O'Toole on Instagram. It's all under there. There's a fucking link on that, so go on the Instagram.
Thank you, everybody, so much for listening. At Brennan T. Comedy on all social media, BrennanTComedy.com. We'll talk to y'all next week.
Listen to my podcast, too, Ryan O'Toole Podcast.
Yeah.